Hi everyone, welcome to session 5 of MSP 2741. This session, which includes the video you're watching right now and the project plan critique, are both due Sunday 3/16 by midnight. What we're going to talk about today, it's going to be a pretty quick video. I want to go through where we've been and where we're going in this class. I want to talk about the project plan critique, the actual assignment, what my expectations are for how you critique each other's project plans. I also want to just show you where you can find this in Google Drive and how you can use Excel in Google Drive to your advantage. So in terms of what we've been doing in this class, it's really been about sort of theoretical planning, right? We've looked at actual social movements that exist in all different realms and all different communities and looked at how those things might be translated into our own lives and into our own movements. Looking at how they set up their own websites, how these movements encourage followers, how these movements make social change. And we're taking those ideas and planning our own movement from it. We've looked at things like goal setting, at the project proposal, lots of things in terms of leadership, planning, how we're going to get ourselves off the ground and get our movements off the ground. What's happening now in the course is that we're going to be transitioning into the building, right? Moving from more theoretical discussion about social movements into a more practical application of what we've been learning. So this second half of the semester is really going to be about building up your websites, putting content on those sites, getting out into the community, and creating very tangible products, whether it's videos, instructional or PSAs, whether it's clothing, creating an urban garden, right? These are all things that are very tangible and that are going to be byproducts of your actual movement. In terms of the project plan, what we're going to talk about today is, this is my example. It's on the homework examples page, and if you click on creating a movement, this is what's going to come up. This is the homework that you had to do, and what I'm going to do is use my example and show you exactly what I expect from you in terms of your critiques. So I just want to go over my example really quickly and talk to you a little bit about what I was expecting and what I am expecting from your project plan. So in terms of talking about goals, we looked at SMART goals in one of our lessons, and that's really producing a goal that is achievable, right? That you've thought through the whole thing, that you have a particular outcome in mind, and that you take the appropriate steps to reach that outcome. And that's what this assignment is all about. So you want to be as specific as you can be. I'm going to look at number 2 here. Under my goal, raise awareness in the Lehigh Valley about Lehigh Valley Summer Bridge. One of the things that I really want to do is contact the owners of local businesses. The Lehigh Valley is a really close-knit community, and there are lots of people who own businesses in Bethlehem that are willing to help people out if we only ask them, right? So you can see that I've got a time when I'd like it to be completed. You can see that I have particular effects that I have in mind. There's lots of foot traffic into these particular places. I want people who don't know about our organization to visit the website and learn a little bit more about it at the very least. I also got very specific. So these are a couple of restaurants right around where Summer Bridge takes place: Johnny's, Billy's, Sal's, the Moravian Bookshop, Brewworks, etc. These are places that I want to start approaching. And the reason I picked these are, I know a lot of these owners who interact with the local college kids and the local programs in the community. They're easy to contact. They hang up flyers in their establishments, and these are fairly influential people within this area. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking for, right? That you have a very particular step, you have a time when you can achieve this goal, or in which you want to achieve this goal. You know exactly what you want out of this goal and what you want to happen, and you have very specific steps about how you're going to achieve it, right? So when we write down a goal that says raise awareness, right, it's too vague. How are you going to achieve it, right? And when we write vague goals, that's okay as a long-term goal, but if we leave that with no short-term goals, such as these steps, what you're going to find is that you're not going to achieve the goal, right? You're going to forget about it, you're going to get lazy, you're not going to know or understand the steps to get there. So that's the whole purpose of this assignment. So what you can do, and you can pause the video here if you want, I want you to read through my example if you haven't already. And what I'm going to do is switch over to an example of a critique. Okay, so this is a critique of my example. I just made these people up, and these are just examples of how you might respond to your group members' papers. I want you to think about providing comments in 4 different categories. So one category is this idea of affirmation, that you are going to leave a comment that reaffirms this person's ideas and the validity of their ideas, right? That you see their work as feasible and meaningful, and you're providing feedback that says, hey, you know what? You're on the right track and you should keep going. That's a very valid and important comment. And so some of those comments I highlighted down here, things like, this goal seems feasible, even though the overall goal is broad and vague, you created detailed steps. That's affirming that the steps I created are on track. This comment is about seeing the progression from the proposal into the project plan. Remember, you have seen all your group members' work, right? You read their proposals, you commented on them. So you should be really familiar with what they're doing, what the project is, what their desired outcomes are, and you should be able to see in their project plan that they're either adequately meeting or not adequately meeting the goals that they put forth in their proposal. Okay, so you can see, and I'm going to post this example with the session. You can see the different ideas, the different examples of the affirmation category. The ideas are clearly well thought out, they're organized, I agree with my other group members that this seems like a good game plan, right? Those kinds of comments. For a second type of comment, you could leave a suggestion, right? This kind of comment is really designed to help a person expand on their ideas, improve them, alter them, tweak them, build on them. It's really about giving it a new perspective, looking at it from a different perspective than the person who wrote it, providing them things, comments like, it seems like your methods will be effective, having the students go on the website and sign up for their contact information is a good idea, right? Seems like a lot of work. You might want to add a partner, right? See if you can get a partner to help you with this. Is there any way to display student work in local businesses you want to advertise in? Might be a good idea to contact Philadelphia colleges, right? You get the idea. So suggestions about how these people can extend their ideas and make them more successful. You could also leave a comment that indicates a particular resource this person might want to go to. So that could be a website link, a service, a particular software they might want to look at. So for example, in this comment, what suggestions do you have for improvement? This person writes, try Gruba. It's a database service, free online, and based on this information, right, this comment is saying if you want to keep track of kids' contact information, this might be a good way to do it. You can download an Excel doc right from the website, right? And the last kind of comment that I really want you to focus on is guided questions, right? And this is meant to help a person think through an idea. So if it's clear that they haven't thought through some of the problem areas, leave them a series of questions that asks them what they're going to do about these particular problem areas. So in this particular one, it reads, I think the idea of contacting important people at the Lehigh Valley colleges is a great idea, but I think this step is going to be difficult to achieve. I think you need to break down this step even further into things like who will you contact, how will you get their contact information, when will you contact them and how, what will you say, can you schedule time to meet with them, right? So this kind of comment, these guided questions, it's about getting people to think through the idea, especially if they haven't already, and helping them to identify problem areas so that they can troubleshoot before those things become problems. So in order to do the actual critique, what you're going to need to do is log into your Google Drive. You're going to go into our shared group folder, just like always. What you're going to need is to actually go on your group member's website. So in our shared folder, click on website links. That's how you can find their websites. You should just go ahead and bookmark your group members' websites. That'll make it easier on you so you don't have to keep coming back to this page. Everyone's website is listed here. These should be the most up-to-date. If you change the address or title of your website, you need to come back in here and change it here. I also, in this document, just put a quick rundown of what people's topics are. And once we get into the Facebook and Twitter activities, I want you to upload your information here and any other media links you have. So if you use Pinterest and you're going to use that for this project, go ahead and put that here so people can visit each other's sites. And again, as I said before in another lesson, we are sort of each other's best network, right? Aside from the people that you know, your family, your friends, we can help each other out by visiting each other's sites, by signing up for each other's posts, becoming each other's friends on Facebook through these organizations. So this is a good thing. Once you find their websites, you're going to go to each of their websites. You'll go into your group folder, you click on your group folder, and you've been in here many times before for the class summary for the project proposal. You're going to click on Session 5, Project Plan Critique. And so let's say I'm cross. I'm going to go ahead and click on each one of these person's documents. So if I'm cross and I'm commenting on Daywalt, on that person's critique, I'm going to look at that person's critique on their blog, right? You'll go to that person's blog, click on creating a movement, you'll read their plan. And if I was cross, I would put all my answers in this column, right? And they should approximately fill the column. You can write about as much as I wrote on the example, although you're welcome to write more. And you're going to do that just like you did for the project proposal. You're going to comment on each person in your group. Pretty simple stuff. Just to give you a couple of tips here, you're going to need to wrap text for this. So you're typing, right? And it's going to end up going down to the bottom. So if I have a whole paragraph, it's going to get lost. You need to click on the square, or the whole row if you want, right? Wrap text. Okay, so that's going to make it so that everything is visible when you go into this document. Okay, you can also do something called freeze panes. This is a really useful thing to do in Excel, whether it's here on Google Drive or in an actual Excel document. And what you do is it's going to be in different places in an Excel like Word file than here, but you're going to go ahead and freeze a row or freeze a column. And what that does is, let's say I freeze column 2, you can see that the rest of the stuff is moving, right? So let's go ahead and freeze column 1. So that's just helpful to bring the other information closer. You certainly don't have to do that. It's not really necessary in this particular assignment, but just for your future reference, if you're making a spreadsheet, you can use freeze panes to scroll across so you maintain the headers of each column and row. So this assignment is pretty easy, as are all the critiques. This is how you're going to do them. All of the critique documents are going to look exactly like this with your name in these slots. And really the purpose is to help each other, to learn each other's projects, to help each other make them better, to spot the problem areas for the other person and help them out so that they can avoid those particular problem areas and just make their project better. So in terms of that week's assignment, that's what you're going to be doing. I do want to look at a couple more things. It'll only take a quick minute or so. Make sure that you're checking the announcements page, okay? It's right here on our website. This is where I put all the announcements when I update grades, all different kinds of things, okay? So hopefully you've seen this. If you haven't, then you're already finished with what you need to do, but we had to do stuff over spring break. It was important that we continue through the project. However, I know that there's been a lot to do. It's been pretty rapid fire, and that a lot of people had not done the assignment when I checked a little before it was due. So I ended up pushing some stuff back. So this is the old schedule. I just revised these couple of things. So make sure you take a look at this. Lesson 5 is going to be due Wednesday 3 by midnight. Lesson 6 is due by Sunday 3:16 by midnight. These two got put back. Just be aware that Lesson 6 and Session 5 are going to be due on the same night, okay? You just had spring break, so theoretically you had an entire week off to do work. This should help you, and there should be no problem accomplishing this, okay? So these are just a couple of changes. Remember, web presence and create a movement project, right? You're doing investigating design personality, okay? I drew these two really quickly just to give you an idea of what's on tap. So in terms of investigating, again, it's under course materials lessons, right? I want you to really think about how different websites are using navigation, typography, color, and various elements of web design in their websites, and how we might be able to mimic that in our websites. So you're going to go through all this stuff, take a look at some of these ideas. Then in this activity, I want you to look at some of these websites. Okay, these are established organizations that are doing good things in different communities, and they must be doing something correctly, right? Whether it's their logo or the font that they use, the navigation on their website, the layout of their website, all of these different things. So I really want you to look at how some of these organizations lay out their site, the kind of content they put on it, how they organize it. Check it out. Mark down or make notes to yourself about things that you like that you might want to mimic or alter for your own, and things that you kind of hate, you think they don't work very well, and you don't want to include that on your website. Right? Sometimes seeing what we don't like or don't want is actually really helpful in terms of constructing what we do want. For homework for this particular lesson, you're going to go to, pick one of these sites, pick an element that you'd like to mimic about that site. So maybe it's the navigation, maybe it's the colors they use, maybe it's the way they lay out the footer or different images that they use and the size and the shape, whatever it is, okay? You're going to put that on your blog. You're going to talk to me a little bit about the element, about the potential to use that element on your site, and I really want you to just start thinking outside the box. Again, I know Weebly is limited, but you can still do some pretty incredible things, especially if you are using Photoshop or other photo editing programs to create materials and then upload them onto the site. So that's the investigating design lesson. And these lessons are really starting towards, again, the building of your sites. So we're moving away from the constructing goals to constructing the actual site. And really, the site is going to be the home base, right? The home camp for your social movement. You want to be able to hand out a business card with the web address on it, or a flyer with the web address on it. Set up a table in the student union where you're collecting donations for a food drive, a clothing drive, and be able to talk to people about your website and direct them to it. You want it to be full of content. You want it to look polished, right? You don't want to be sending people to a half-finished site. So in terms of font personality, I really want you to look at just the basics of font and what that means. So right here I've got the different sort of terminology for the parts of font. This Type is Sexy website is a great little website. It just kind of gives you a basic rundown. I want you to try and avoid some common mistakes in terms of, cramming everything together or mixing too many fonts together or too many colors, all those kinds of things. I want you to go through some of these examples. Look at how people are using font, whether it's to build an actual image or to overlay an image, all different ways that you can use font, and you want to make it thematic. You want your website to really speak to people through the font. Okay, so some extension stuff here. And then what you're going to be doing is thinking about how your personality can be reflected in the font that you use. So it's really about selecting a font that's readable, that's accessible, but that really conveys the spirit of you and your site and your cause. And we think that font is something silly, you're always writing in Times New Roman, but this is your chance to be creative, but you want to also have a little restraint. You want to edit yourself. You want to fine-tune things, and you want it to be, again, accessible, but also really meaningful. So what you're going to do for homework is you are going to pick out your font personality. These are just some examples from last class of how people kind of matched pictures and fonts and personalities. Now, we did this assignment in a live class, so they're not polished, right? They're not like the most perfect things, but you get the idea. I want you to take this and I want you to explain to me why the font and color and background and picture go together, how they represent your personality, and I want you to think about how that might translate into your website. Maybe you're not going to use this exact font, but maybe you like the curve of the letters or the stems of the letters, and you want to reflect that in your website. So again, every time you do the homework, I've got my example. You can click here, or you can go to course materials, homework examples. Please take a look at those because I'm telling you exactly what you need to do and I'm showing it to you. So take a look and use that for your homework. So again, this is a really short session. A lot of them will be pretty short from here on out. I'm going to always give you a rundown of what I expect in terms of your critiques, if there's anything special that I want you to be looking at or commenting on. But really, we want to go with, for the most part, let me pull it up. For the most part, we want to go with these 4 comments, right? These 4 types of comments. The affirmation, the suggestion, the resource, the questions. This is a pretty good guideline on the kinds of things that you can tell people to help them, and hopefully they will be giving that to you in return. So hopefully this session was helpful in terms of how to do your critiques. If you have any questions, just shoot me a quick email, and that's all for this session. We'll see you next time.